preppers and prepettes. Conversational piece I'm just coming up with right now as I'm thinking and driving on the way to Yerushalayim. Now I'm going out to a place where the Maccabees hid out during the times of the Greek occupation. So I'll be putting together that video I was telling you about earlier, all about that. And that area, just kind of give you an idea of some of the historical relevance. Stress and S.H.T.F. And what is that? What do I mean by stress? Unfortunately, in our community, there's somebody who I look up to very well, with a lot of preparedness talking points. Just to give him some privacy, I won't do any tags or shout outs directly, just because he's going through a tough situation. Anyone who knows probably has an idea who I'm talking about. And that would be death in the family. Whether it's, somebody takes their own life, their life is taken. Disease is also another thing. You got to think during those time frames, your immune system becomes weaker and weaker with it being stress. Stress is a huge killer in modern times. When really it's not that stressful. I mean, there's the day-to-day stresses, but it's nothing compared to if it's like a grid down situation. There's no water, your kids are getting sick, they're throwing up, they get some kind of pathogen which will wreak havoc, as we see across Africa, historically in Europe, even still today. We got water issues in towns. Everyone says Flint, but in the last 12 months, there's been over 1,000 boil water orders across the United States. Wow, that was spicy. I had some spicy food a little bit earlier for my morning, for breakfast. So basically, these are the things that people kind of overlook. And I have a newborn that just hit 8 weeks. So, just imagine the crying when you can't feed. When you look at the civil unrest or civil war that's been going on in Yemen, for instance. Yeah, they shoot rockets almost nightly at us. It wakes me up anywhere between 3:30 to 4:30 in the morning, even 2:30 in the morning. But consistently, that's been the time for you. Now imagine you're in a situation like these people. Famine, civil unrest and war. It's really a proxy war on top of that. Bombing is going on like crazy. And you have a newborn who's literally starving to death. That's a very, very common thing that you see in these war zones. So, with all that being said, could you imagine, even in Gaza, now, despite what you feel about that, I have my reservations on that whole situation. But basically, just put yourself in those situations. I think to myself, what would happen, and this has been my people in the past, and any Jews that are listening to this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When people just don't care, they didn't care about us before. They could have stopped our onslaught years and years ago. That's the hypocrisy of what's going on now. And our forefathers, not too long ago, and our relatives, and I've heard stories from mine, when there's a lot of uncertainty. And with there being a lot of uncertainty, you don't have food, you don't have stable income, you don't have shelter. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. The things that compound the issue of stress and how to mitigate that. And that's why having these food supplies and having these water supplies, and water is probably more important than food, than all the firearms that you see with everybody, where they're doing these massive stockpiles. And I think to myself, what would happen if we just had that large amount of food? Imagine if we just had all that money that we could put into large food supplies. Imagine if we could do that with water and rainwater catchment, and just enough to hold you for, I believe, up to a year. Because not that everything will go back to normal from a massive event, but everything will go back to food production level normal, to where you could provide for yourself. I watch a lot of these preppers and more homesteaders, off-gridders in Arizona, where it's a harsher climate, but once you can stabilize soil and stabilize water supply, it's some of the best growing conditions that you can ask for. Also here in Israel, as you see, as I'm driving around, it's an arid climate, but we have a lot of pine, we have a lot of other types of trees and bushes, so we do have good good vegetation. It's just, it's different. It's not like East Coast New York vegetation where you have water galore. But these are some of the thoughts off the top of my head. As of right now, this is the current status. In the coming weeks, next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I've got some good videos coming out on construction and getting some of that rainwater collection set up, and also the creeks and streams, because we get a lot of water that fills up in the streams during the runoff and the monsoons and stuff like that. So I'm going to show a system where it's a pumping system that I can put into action to pull water out of the washes, and then use that water at least for, even if it's a little has a lot of sediment, you can use it for your drier part of the season to water all your trees, whether they're shade trees or fruit producing trees. And being able to do that is going to eliminate a lot of your stress as well, just to get you through those months when you've got 90, 100 days of no rainfall, and you're able to provide enough 5-10 gallons of water, 20 gallons of water a day for you and your family, for hygiene, cooking, water consumption, because you're going to be drinking a lot. Just imagine the amount of stress you'll have when you have to do manual labor. When I mean manual labor, I'm talking stuff that a lot of people are not used to nowadays. You're going to be dropping fat and calories like crazy, and if you don't have these staple things in place before the next round of food comes into play, you're going to be in real trouble. But for now, just checking out, and talk to you soon.